Hi, this is Dr. Stephanie Wautier, and I'm the host of Conversations with a Chiropractor. This is not a health how-to, but rather a conversation with some amazing people I've had the pleasure of being with on my journey of life. Think of it more like Tuesdays with Maury, a fireside chat, or chicken soup for the soul. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy this conversation with a chiropractor. Today, I am joined by Greta, who is the owner of Fancy Free. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So Fancy Free is a thrift store. Would you call it a thrift store?
I like to call it a curated resale shop.
I like that. That's definitely more authentically what it is. Curated resale. So how long have you been in business, Greta?
For 3.5 years.
Okay. And I know you started as like a pop-up shop, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Tell me about the process of how you started this business.
So it started as a pop-up shop, and it was open 3 days each month. I guess, do you want to know what that looked like, or prior to Fancy Free being open?
No, prior. In fact, we could do like a little bit of a flashback, because you recently told me that after high school, 3 days after high school, you went to Alaska. Let's start there. Let's start with your like adventurous traveling spirit and what did you do in Alaska?
Okay, so yeah, 3 days after I graduated high school, I was 17 years old. I jumped on a plane and moved to Alaska. And I worked at a fishing charter company in Sitka.
You did that.
Mm-hmm.
In what role? Were you like on the boat? Did you gut the fish? Did you like what exactly did you do?
It was a pretty small company, so I was kind of the everything girl. I would wake up in the morning at 4:30 and make breakfast for the fishermen going out. And then once the fishermen departed, I was a housekeeper. And then I would have a small break and I would come back and serve dinner.
Wow.
Yeah.
So interesting, because my son is a huge fisherman. He loves fishing. And we've talked about this. Wouldn't it be cool to do some sort of a summer job in Alaska? And you did it.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
So did you stay there for just the summer? Did you stay there for longer? Because that sounds like a pretty rigorous, difficult job to have.
Yes. It was a difficult job. I had 1 day off for the summer, and the person who I worked for was the owner of a fishing charter company in Alaska. So I imagine it couldn't be easy, but she was a character. Anyways.
And probably maybe tough to work for, or
yes,
not.
That is what I want to say. Tough to work for.
And maybe not compassionate, maybe not. It's not like you went into the loving arms of an auntie.
Yes.
You were
exactly.
like the drill sergeant. You were like, yeah. You were taking orders.
I was.
Perhaps?
Yes. But I did fall in love with one of the captains and returned for a second summer.
Oh, those summer romances, they're pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
So you did that for 2 summers.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the next part of your life's adventure?
And then I moved to Florida. I lived in West Palm Beach. Well, only for a couple months. I was a beach bum living on Alaska savings. And
how fun. What a cool thing. I want to be a beach bum when I retire. Since I didn't get to do it.
You'd be a really good one.
Whatever.
You would, yeah.
I always say I might have a portable adjusting table and people can bring me like margaritas or pina coladas or coconuts, and that'll be my payment. Or maybe sunscreen. Maybe I should use some sunscreen.
Is that an invite?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So Florida, West Palm Beach, just got to have what maybe some people might call like you're sowing your wild oats, or some people do the backpacking in Europe. You did Alaska, then Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And then tell me what happened after that.
And then I just fell in love with adventure. And for the following decade, I traveled for 10 years, high and low. I've been in every corner, every little space of the United States, road tripping and flying all over. Anyways, long story short, I moved basically every 6 months for 10 years. And so I've had 26 addresses.
Wow.
I was just a modern day hippie, skipping around and just kind of going wherever the wind blew me. There was no rhyme or reason to it. I was like, you land in Florida, you meet someone that inspires you, and you move somewhere else with them. Or not quite like that, but
No agenda.
no agenda.
No,
Yeah.
it's not like you were like, oh, I want by 25, I want to have seen these countries, or like you were just like, wherever the next journey and adventures, I'm going to follow it.
Yeah, exactly. I did a lot of seasonal work to support myself. But yeah.
It's so interesting. You have this quote, and I'm not going to say it correctly, but basically you can keep reinventing yourself. What's that quote again that you say?
It's never settle on a style. That's my motto at Fancy Free. And that's pretty much what it means. It's that you're always growing and never stop growing until you get to where you want to be. And it's that little motto means so much to me, because it means not only your physical style, like what you're putting on your body, but it's basically, it just means that nobody can tell you who you are except for you. And that you're just not ever going to settle until you're happy.
I remember talking to you in your shop, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to be in Europe this summer, and could I bring you back something? And you were so funny. I remember this so vividly. You were like, well, I might give it away, or I might recycle it, or you have such a freedom with physical belongings that like is not me. I had such a different experience. Very, very, I don't know if I should say stable, but sort of like kind of a traditional upbringing, hardworking folks. And they were like, you're going to go to school and you're going to get a degree and you're going to support yourself. And that's what I did. I went from high school to college. I was an RN. I don't know if you know that. I went straight to college, got my BSN. I was working full-time as a nurse at age 22. And I did have some gypsy years, like when I was a travel nurse. But I have had this bizarre, well, maybe not bizarre. Maybe a lot of us are like this, but sentimentality toward physical belongings. Like my mom passed last November, and just last night we were decorating the Christmas tree, and I've inherited some of her things. And like, I'm so attached to things. Yikes. That's just like very, very opposite. I strive to be less connected to physical things.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's another quote, and it's collect moments, not things. But I'm not against, it's funny because I'm a store owner. So very much a minimalist. So the things that I have, there's a quote that says, don't have anything in your home that you don't know to be useful or believe to be beautiful. Something like that. And the things that I do have are very, very special and stuff I've had for a decade. But I guess things are very special to me because it's very, very special to me when I get to pass something to someone who it's going to be very special to them. And so that's the moment that I love.
And that big Marie Kondo sort of push and effect where it's, does this bring you joy? You get to see people having joy sparked probably every single day in your store.
Yes.
Like the rings I just bought yesterday. Like I literally cannot wait. I'm making Sonia give it to me for Christmas, so I have to wait till December 25th. But I can't wait to wear that. That must sort of do something for you as a curator of these beautiful things when you're allowing all these people to get joy sparked.
It does. It's my favorite thing in the world. Like just yesterday, someone was in my store and he bought a painting that reminded him of a spot in Italy that he had visited. And I do get to see those moments every day. It's my favorite thing when someone picks something up and says, my girl used to have this.
Oh,
That's the reason why I do it. And it's fun.
I think it's so beautiful too, not to get, I'm very apolitical, but like you are doing good things for the environment by encouraging people not to buy a mass-produced piece of clothing, right? I mean, there's also that part of this curated recycled, upcycled world.
There's so many benefits to shopping resale. And the biggest reason for me, the reason why I get everything secondhand is because of slave labor. It's everywhere. And so the one way that you can avoid supporting slave labor is by shopping resale. So that's the biggest reason. But then there's the saving money aspect. Let someone else buy it full price, and then you then get a deal on it when they're done with it.
Oh my gosh. And we have found such beautiful things in your store. From one year, I did like a coffee cup themed gift to my whole staff. So one year, I think I found 80% of all those beautiful coffee cups in your store. And we found dresses for high school dances. And I can't even like name all the cool things. I actually think that the Christmas trees that I'm just putting up, they're like clear glass, and I put twinkle lights in them. I'm like,
yes, you did.
God, these
that I remember.
So, I could literally take pictures through my house and be like, I got this at Fancy Free. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your support.
Absolutely. Another thing that I really love, and I think many people don't have the freedom to do this, is to take 2 pieces of clothing or 2 pieces of fabric and marry them and create a whole new thing. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So the other really beautiful thing about shopping resale is that clothing is packed with energy and stories. And just like a plant is living and breathing, that's how I feel about clothes. It's like they were made by someone, and they're passed from hand to hand. And I always say, if only our garments could talk to us, the stories they would tell. So they're just packed with energy. And so I met someone, her name is Patty, and probably 5 months ago now, we started a clothing line called Eclipse. It's the aesthetic alignment of beautiful things. And when you meet someone, I call that an eclipse, because you come together. And I guess when I met Patty, we talked, like, she walked into my store and we talked for 2 hours about vintage.
Wow.
And it was like 2 weeks later, we had just was creative fireworks going on. And so an eclipse is when you meet someone and it alters the course in which you were traveling. And so that's what eclipse is. We bring 2 garments together, take a vintage denim coat and put a tea towel on the back. Well, a tea towel is way prettier where it's going to be seen all the time. Obviously, it's a tea towel that's really pretty.
Like all that hand stitching and all of that detail work. And my grandmother had pillowcases that the edges were like, I don't even know what you would call it, not just plain embroidery, but like beautiful. Like I feel like too, our society is such a throwaway society. We're like, oh, there's a tear in that, there's a rip in that, garbage. Or, and here you're taking, maybe there is a tear in something and you're covering it up or creating an accent with wherever it was torn. That's beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't throw things away. We repair them.
So how can people is that clothing line, does it have its own Etsy shop, or is it just found in the store?
It's found in the store. You can shop. But also, I have a website, and it's fancyfree.store, and there's an Eclipse category that you can shop. And that's all stuff that Patty and I have collaborated on.
Wow, I didn't even know this.
Yeah, so I kind of find the pieces, and Patty and I get together and make this vision, and she puts it together on the sewing machine. And she's also teaching me to sew. So it's been fun.
That is so cool.
Yeah, she's just lit up my world. So she comes to Fancy Free 2 days, every Monday and Thursday.
And you guys kind of collaborate and
we repair. I'll always have a pile of things for her to repair, because oftentimes people are donating stuff just because they have a button missing, but it's still a really beautiful thing. And so Patty just whips it back together.
Wow. Is she a seamstress by trade? Has this been her life?
Yeah, she's been doing it for decades. She's always done it. And it's funny because for her, it was also that eclipse where she's just always been creating and creating and creating. She just has all this art and clothing that she's created, but she's just had no place no platform to sell it. She doesn't like to sell things. She likes to make things.
We all have these different gifts.
Yeah.
Like I am not a salesperson, which is it's so great that I have a business partner who that's one of her strengths. We need other people, like pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, when creative people join hands, anything is possible.
Absolutely. It is so fun. So we kind of went all the way back and then we came all the way to your current stuff, but I think we missed how Fancy Free began. So 10 years of traveling around the country, around the world. Mm-hmm. And you, at that point, are you kind of in this curating process? Are you picking things up? Tell me about the beginning of Fancy Free.
Oh, Fancy Free was inside of me since the day that I was born. But I had 9 siblings and we were a very thrifty family. We didn't really shop new. I mean, my mom was a huge thrifter. And so thank you, Mom, for teaching me everything I know about thrifting.
Yay. Thank you, Mom.
At the time, I didn't realize how much of a gift she was giving me. But she is the woman who trained me. She also had her own thrift store when I was growing up called Finders Keepers in Calumet, Michigan. Yeah. And so
that's just spectacular that a mother of 9 children could have a store.
My mom is just the hardest worker. She was raising 9 children, but also providing for them, working full time. And it's funny because in my high school years, my mom would come home from work and she also would continue to work, and because she did the scheduling for her job. She worked at an Alzheimer's care facility where she would puzzle their schedule together. It has, 60 employees that need scheduling. So my mom was often at the dinner table creating the schedule after she came home from work. And so that's how a lot of what I remember my mom. She also did, as a hobby, she did wedding cakes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
as a hobby.
She is an artist. It's just that when you're raising 9 children, you don't have the luxury of a paintbrush. What I want to say about my mom is that all of her children left the nest, and this woman starts slinging paintings, like hundreds of paintings.
Oh my gosh.
So she always had this creativity artist inside of her, but I never saw her with a paintbrush. And
she didn't have the time. She was doing things to provide for the family, right?
Exactly. So it just, thank you for your sacrifices. Well,
that's so beautiful. Do you have any of her paintings in your shop?
I do. Well, I have a very special painting of, I lived in Wyoming, and she painted the scene that I saw every day in Wyoming.
Oh.
And so that's a painting of hers that I'll have forever. And then I have another painting of The Lightning Express, which is a song that she used to sing as a lullaby. So there's 2 paintings that I treasure from my mom.
Oh, I've never heard of The Lightning Express. Would you feel comfortable like singing a little bit of it, or?
It's the story of, it's funny, I always joke, my parents sang lullabies to us, and there was 5 songs that they would sing as lullabies, and all of them were stories of the parents passing away. But I guess it built empathy. So anyway, this Lightning Express is the story of a boy who's traveling on a train to get home to his mother who's dying, but he doesn't have money for a train ticket. And so a girl on the train takes a hat and she makes a collection to pay for the boy's train ticket. But yeah.
Wow.
But I want to reach home and kiss mother goodbye before God takes her away.
Oh, sad.
Yeah.
What a sad lullaby.
It is a sad lullaby, but it's one that I'll pass on to my children because it's such a big part of, I'll never forget that.
Yes.
But my dad would play it on guitar and my mom would sing it. And so that's something that's a special, that's a core memory.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were raised with music. I want to come back to music, but so let's go back. So Fancy Free, you said, was a part of you since you were born, and your mom's thrifting and your mom's sort of probably business savviness. And I mean, it sounds like she's has many talents, which I see in you as well.
She's the everything mom.
So special. So how did you decide to start Fancy Free in Marquette, Michigan?
Oh, yes. So we got a little sidetracked there. But the main thing is, I guess what happened is fancy free is inside of me since I was just a child, because I'm an artist and a creative and a musician, except for the only thing is that I don't know that, and I don't know how to share it, and I don't know what to do with all of this creative energy inside of me. And so as I'm traveling for 10 years, so after I moved to Alaska, I lived in Arizona and Texas and Wyoming and Connecticut and Florida and Michigan and North Dakota and Minnesota, picking up all these random jobs.
Wow.
Segway tour guide, and I sang at birthday parties as also an honor, and I was a school photographer, and I worked at Krispy Kreme, and I worked as a teacher, which was one of my favorite jobs. But the job that I had before Fancy Free was I worked as a nanny in New York City.
Wow.
For a woman who was not that nice.
And have you seen the movie The Nanny Diaries?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I read that book and I was like, did I write this book? This is
wow.
I know exactly what I went through. To the details where they had houses everywhere. They had a house in Aspen, just like in that book. And they had a few houses in New York City. And then they had 2 houses in Greenwich. And we flew on private jets for the weekend to go to Aspen, and I went to Israel with them, and
oh my gosh!
So it was a nice little cup of tea to drink just for a little bit.
Although, if it's sort of like the Nanny Diaries, your boss was maybe a difficult / horrible / I don't know person.
Yes, so that's kind of what hooked me to the point. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I was a nanny in New York City for a woman who did not treat me well. She did not. My goal, it's always been my goal to share art and music. That's what I do. And so I wanted to do that with her 4 children. And I was always doing that with her 4 children. However, she, I don't know, never appreciated it in me. I would go above and beyond to create these projects for them and write songs with them and stuff. And she would just turn to ice sometimes because I don't know. I spent, I think, more time with her kids than she did. But
you did.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had friends who've been nannies, and yeah.
And so I guess my breaking point was when I sat down to meet with her about a raise, because I was working 70 hours a week and I was doing way more than just being her nanny. I was the house manager and doing all the appointments and taking care of her dad, who was on his deathbed. And like, I would work a 10-hour day, and then she would tell me to go to the other house that they had in Greenwich and check that all the lights worked.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was just like, hey, I had a meeting with her. I said, hey, I need to be paid.
To be compensated for your time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm only being paid to be the nanny here. So I asked for a raise, and she said, Greta, you're getting paid an experience of being a mom. Because she knows I have 5 sisters who 4 of them are mothers. She knows I love moms. I really value the mother. But so that's what she knows how much anyways.
I think that's such an unfortunate archetype. Let's just call it an archetype. Because she knows deep down that she either doesn't have the capacity or doesn't want to make the time and the capacity to be down in the dirt of motherhood. Like, how dare she slap you in the face with that? Like, that's manipulation to a degree of, that's bad.
Yeah. And so I asked her for a raise, and she says, but Greta, you're being paid in the experience of being a mom. And so I was kind of like, well, I'm not a mom. And I'm working very hard. And she kind of pushed me to the edge. And so at that moment, I put in my 2 weeks notice. And then that's when she said, okay, I'll give you a raise. And she said, you'll get your own apartment in New York City.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, you'll get an extra day off. She was really trying to keep me. But I held true because I had just been abused.
Gosh, absolutely. And for all the young people out there, like for my daughter and son who are getting ready to be launched into the world, like, these moments, these decisions, these like crossroads, I don't want to say to dance with the devil, but yeah, do you stay somewhere where you feel authentically abused just because you're going to have a great New York City apartment, or do you sort of say, no, in my heart of hearts, I can't take this abuse. The abuse won't change. I'm being bought off. Those are really, really hard decisions to make.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess my oldest sister, I had a conversation with her, and I got a care package from my sisters, and that's because they saw how I was having a hard time there, and they were kind of like, Greta, I think you should quit. My oldest sister said, money comes and goes, just get out of there. And that always will stick with me. So I left that job. She owed me $8,000 when I left. I never got that money, which is fun. But basically what I'm saying is that she treated me so badly that I was like, no, I'm not being paid in the experience of being a mom. I'm being paid in the experience of getting my shit together so that I never have to work for someone like you ever again. But so I moved from New York City to Marquette, Michigan, and I popped like a balloon and out was fancy free.
And it is interesting sometimes when we have almost those very worst experiences that push us to our breaking point. Like if it had been comfortable for you, if she was lovely and she gave you a New York City apartment and she treated you beautifully, perhaps you would still be a nanny today in New York City.
Exactly.
So it's interesting when we have those raw, rough, bad, horrible, life-changing experiences that create us to be so resilient, but they push you to then do the thing.
Exactly.
Wow.
So now I have a boss who appreciates me and who appreciates me as an artist.
Which is you yourself.
Which is me.
Yes. So you were still traveling though. So you had the shop open for 3 days a month, and you were still at that early stages of Fancy Free, still on that sort of curation journey. Am I correct? Okay.
Well, I guess the main part of, I guess a little bit of the mission at Fancy Free, and that's the most important thing, and that's to stoke the wildfire of creative expression. And that's what I want to do, is bring everybody as an artist. And so I just help to bring it to the surface. And that's something that I wasn't able to do at my last prior job. And so it's just the main goal.
And I always think, like, sort of in my own personal life, like some of the negative experiences I had being a critical care nurse. And one of the main things that I wanted to do as my own small business owner is to create an atmosphere of love, of healing, of positivity, of joy that was so in contrast to some of those other environments of being in the hospital. So you did sort of the same thing. You had that atmosphere and you completely created a different atmosphere at Fancy Free. Yeah, one of like joy and creative expression and
and music.
So it sounds like you had two musicians. Your mom and dad were both musicians, and music was a part of your growing up, I assume? In addition to the lullabies, was there more music?
Oh, every day. My dad sang every single day. My mom wasn't quite a musician, but she sings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my mom's an artist. My dad is a musician.
Okay. Did your dad have a quote unquote day job? You talked a little bit about what your mom did.
Yes. My dad is a drywaller, or he's in construction, I guess I'll say.
Okay.
And he's 6'8".
Wow.
And so I always joke and say he never needed a ladder.
No, he didn't.
But yeah, he was the hardest. He worked very, very hard too. And I think every house in the town that we grew up in, he either worked in or he sang in. So he was always taking his guitar and...
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So Fancy Free's birth occurs, and now is it 5 years old? How many years?
3.5.
3.5 years old. Okay.
Just a baby.
So you started 3 days a month and still traveling, and now you're there like 6 days a week. And music is a really big part of your store. Tell us about that.
So yeah, I went from 3 days a month to 6 days a week because I thrive around people. And it was, nobody knew, but in the other 27 days, everybody loved the pop-up shop. But then in the other 27 days, I was like, I miss everyone. So I only full time. And now on Tuesdays, every other Tuesday, I host a music and movement class for children under the age of 5. Some moms come and bring their children and we dance and sing. And then on every other Wednesday, I host an open jam for adult musicians. Well, musicians of all ages and skill levels. We just get together and share music. I kind of started a band, which I call the Fancy Freaks. And basically the concept is that it's a band it's a non-committal band where the members ebb and flow. So I say, join us for a song or for a set or for life.
That's really freeing for a lot of people not to have to make that lifelong commitment.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we've been doing that for 2 years or probably a little over. We get together every other week. And I guess the best way to grow as a musician is to be around other musicians. So it's just a warm and welcoming and creative environment for people to share. We sit in a circle and just share.
That's so cool. And you've performed at many places. I know you personally and with the band. Tell us a little bit about where you've performed.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I guess, well, we do a lot of open mics and we just have so much fun with it. Sometimes I'll throw a wig on and what's fun about that is that you can just kind of be whoever you want to be. And
yeah.
So I do open mics in Wigfilla. It's kind of this thing that I do.
I love that because I did a little bit of musical theater growing up and I feel like when you're on stage as someone else, there's a different kind of a freedom than when you're up in front of people as yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, there's like a freedom that comes to that, a little bit of an alternate identity.
Exactly.
So cool.
Yeah, actually, basically you could just, it's freeing. It's sort of like skinny dipping in the ocean.
Oh, yeah. Very freeing.
Yeah.
So do you have, I mean, it's kind of, what's the word I want to use? I don't want to say intense, but to be a small business owner where you're open 6 days a week and then you have the one day off to get your groceries and do your bookkeeping. And do you have anybody else that's working with you now besides Patty?
Yeah. So I have 4 creative employees and they all do different things and have different gifts. And it's definitely, they help me hold everything up. And so
I'm so happy for you that you have like a team to help you because it's an impossibility to be well, it's not an impossibility, but to be a one-person show.
Yeah. So for 2 years, I did it alone. And then I was like, I'm not going to do this alone anymore.
And some people might at that moment be like, I'm burned out and I'm going to close the shop. I think that's like an alternative that some people just maybe in an emotional way, just they're like, I can't do it anymore. So how cool that you like worked through that and said, I want to keep the shop open, but I just need some help. Yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly. I hit a point where I was like, okay, well, I'm spread very thin. I can't shine in my area if I don't have other people helping me.
Yeah, and absolutely.
That's the one creative people join hands, anything is possible. So also grateful to a supportive community. So I feel that they're part of the team too. I mean, that's what community is. So
yeah, absolutely.
It often feels like my customers are my family and yeah.
Well, it was one of my patients that told me about you.
Kelly.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the coolest place. And even yesterday, Sonia and I had 30 minutes to quote unquote spare between things. And we were like, let's go see Greta. Let's stop in. I mean, you sort of, I mean, I would call you my friend, even though I only come to your shop. But, you know, you are part of like our lives in the community. And yeah.
I would call you my friend too.
Oh, thank you. So big holiday season coming up, right? We're looking at Thanksgiving so many retailers are having big sales for Black Friday. And then Saturday after Thanksgiving is Small Business Saturday. So tell us, will Fancy Free be open those days?
Fancy Free will be open Friday and Saturday for the best sales. We're doing 50% off both Friday and Saturday.
50% off of everything?
Yep, everything.
Oh my gosh.
I love to pass on the savings.
Wow. That is beyond spectacular.
And live music both Friday and Saturday. It's going to be a party at Fancy Free, and obviously there will be giveaways.
Oh my gosh. And I got a giveaway once. That was so fun.
Yes. Wait, what did you win?
I don't even remember. Did I win? I don't
Was it a mystery box?
Maybe it was.
I feel like it was probably a mystery box.
That is so fun too. I mean, who doesn't love a mystery box?
Right, a box full of mysteries.
Yes. So what are your hours going to be for Friday and Saturday?
We'll be open 10 to 6 at both Friday and Saturday, and 50% off the entire day on both days.
Wow. So people in Marquette can come to Fancy Free on Friday and Saturday, 10 to 6, hear live music, and get 50% off of everything in the store.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. We're out of town. I wish we could be here.
Oh, man.
What's funny? So years ago, I saw these red and black buffalo plaid Woolrich pants at your store.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, you should get those and you could craft with them. And they reminded me of my grandpa. And I was like, oh, should I get them? Should I not get them? And of course, they were gone. I didn't get them that day. The next time I came in, they were gone. So I encourage people, if you have that spark of joy and you see something, you have to get it at that exact moment, because you do have such a beautiful curated collection of amazing things, but you got to get that. So you got to get it when that joy is sparked, because somebody else is going to grab it.
That is another thing that happens a lot at Fancy Free. Someone will come back for something and it will be gone. And I'm just always, well, there's more pretty things.
Yes.
I do it every day, so it'll come.
It'll come. It'll come. Yeah, but I mean, I'll never forget that. It's so funny. And that's sort of my mantra. It's, you know what? And I do love shopping. I don't know if that surprises you. I love shopping. I love shopping for people. It gives me such joy. So yeah, no, I get it. If it sparks joy, I get it.
Yeah.
And maybe I will pass it along as I am in my older years, becoming less attached to things. It's actually, we've been in a purge mode, moving into a smaller house, and I'm taking some of those sound bites and those beautiful bits of advice.
Yeah. Oh, I guess.
And Greta, you wouldn't think that in a curated resale world you could return things, but you have a policy about that.
Yes. Well, of course, happy customer is number one priority. So if you ever do grab something and it wasn't for you, you could bring it back. There's 30 days. And I will work with you on helping you find something you love. Everyone go.
That's amazing.
And then, oh yeah, I do another thing at Fancy Free where if you did buy stuff that you don't love, don't let it sit in your closet and collect dust. Or you can, if you bring a curated bag of donations to Fancy Free, it's a $10 token on the spot. It's a fun way to donate, and it supports all the music that happens at Fancy Free. And so you can also find something you love as well as donate to a good cause. And yeah, it supports local music and local artists.
And a local businesswoman. I mean, not a box store. We're not talking about corporate America. Like, you're a hometown Youper girl, even though you've traveled all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, real people run small businesses. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in closing, I mean, I'm so grateful that we were able to sit down and have this conversation today. I'm so excited for this holiday season for people to be able to get these amazing deals. And if they want to follow you on social media, tell us all the tags, all the things.
Oh, it's easy. It's Fancy Free HQ on everything. TikTok, Instagram. I'm on Facebook as Fancy Free. So yeah, Fancy Free HQ.
And then your website is Fancy Free Store?
Yeah, fancyfree.store.
.store. Okay. As we close, Greta, is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners? Anything about yourself? Anything about the store?
Oh, yeah, just this little song.
Oh, sing it, girl.
This is a song that I wrote with a friend, and it's called We Have Everything. It's kind of about my journey. So you could start a long adventure in a Dark winter with an empty plate for dinner ain't still come out as a winner. 'Cause you're never quite alone. 1,000 hands will hold you up. We go together like cold weather and a secondhand sweater that was never worn better. You want anything at all, come find it in my latest haul. We've been driving to the state sales, digging through the trash pills, opening the doors that would scare off all the alpha males, diving into free bins, fixing up a weekend. There's nothing anyone could ever want that hasn't been made. 'Cause we have everything we'd ever need. We have everything we'd ever need. We have everything we'd ever need and more. Fancy for you.
That is so beautiful. You get to add singer-songwriter to your list of credentials.
Yeah.
Greta, thank you so much for being on Conversations with a Chiropractor.
Thank you for having me. It was such fun. I would do it again and again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast, would you please rate it, review it, or subscribe? You can find me on social media at wautierwellness.com, Dr. Stephanie Wautier on Instagram, or Wautier Wellness Chiropractic and Massage on Facebook. And I'm so curious where your next conversation will take you.